Hey guys, it's Mythology's Bot here again. I updated a few things in the background. I don't know if you guys will notice that little tree. Thorin has been jumping up and down on a little Buddha shrine I have over there. But I'm going to start off with a new build for Rex-Sprocketsburg. It's called Catachan-Ambush. It kind of merges a few of the things together that I always wanted to play with. So it's kind of a more of a theme build than really what it actually is. But let's take a look at it. I think it does really well. I've had a few people comment in game as well. So let's go into Stephanie's place and check this out. Oh, such a good day outside today. Good to see you guys here. Thank you for being here. So like normal, we'll go over the weapons real quick, and then we'll go from there. So let's start with... load out. So this one I have right here, this is a pretty standard one. I use this one on the Toxic Medic lower half Carl build. This specific mark, this is the Devil Claw Sword MK7. And it has a really nice like push block stab. It's like a real pokey stab and some wide cuts too. And for that, I have a little bit unusual. Normally I would have this thing cranked up to do damage a little bit differently, but I'm really liking the way it feels right now. And I have that on Unarmored and Maniacs because those are those two things I'm going to have the most trouble with, especially with getting crowded in with a big bunch of horde of guys, right? If they start jumbling up your footing, that's one of the most dangerous things in the game. Crushers suck, man, but normal mobs, they can be rough. But for that, we have mobility as the dump stat. No, I want to look at it. Okay, well, that's not what I wanted to do. But anyways, we have Unarmored and Maniacs with that for the perks. And then for the blessings, Wrath, so we get extra cleave, and then Shred. So just, yeah, decides to crit more. That's awesome. This thing is really good at killing out hordes, especially if you don't want to waste ammo, right? And the guys you don't want to see the most are those Ragers. So this thing does really good against that too. And then for the Recon Lasgun, the Catachan MK 14, I think that is. So this is the one that has the most damage per shot for any of the slowest fire rate and most damage. And I like this one, and there's a very specific reason why. So obviously mobility is the dump stat for that one, ammo, collateral, stability, damage, all up high. The perks for that are flak armor and unyielding, so boss damage, reapers, mutants, all those kind of things. The flak damage mainly because you're going to be a head targeter. Especially with the blessings, so Infernus, so 4 stacks of burn on critical hit to maximum of 12 stacks, and then Headhunter, 5% critical chance on weak spot hit until your next critical hit. So this thing is just constantly burning through fire all the time. And it's really good to put a lot of dots on the bosses. Pretty much anything that needs to get dead will happen with this rifle. And I like this Mark 14 the most just because it has the most damage. And it can really... I've noticed with some of the lower tier ones, and not that I don't love those ones too, the middle tier and then the fastest firing one, which is a bolt hose. I love that one. Or laser hose, I guess, would be the right way of saying that. It takes a little bit too long for the kill to happen for me, but I could be wrong. But either way, try out what you like. I've tried the MK14, and I like that one, the Mark 14, the most. So let's just go over our Q-Rolls real quick. So we have toughness. This is going to be toughness all the way through the board. Combat ability generation, which is going to be on all 3 of those. Stamina regeneration, which is on a couple. And then sprint speed efficiency. Same as this one. Combat, stamina regeneration, damage resistant gunners. We have 1 of those. And then stamina. Oh, I need to flip-flop that around. Combat ability needs to be on the top for some reason. I don't know. It bothers my OCD or something. Who knows? But also revised speed as well. So let's go into the talents. Now this follows a pretty standard Rex-Sprocketsburg build. Nothing too extreme. But let's just kind of go through it real quick. I know this is probably something you guys have seen a couple times, but let's do it again. Huh? Confirm kill. So we have replenish 10% toughness on a leader specialist kill. Another further 20% over 10 seconds. It works out pretty well. I'm going to leave it alone. Long shot as well to go with that. Then we got close order drill, because you have to. Crack grenades. That's not to say that you can't make a really good frag grenade, or shredder frag grenade. You know, I would love to be tossing some shredder frags, but I think I have the horde capacity kind of tanked, like, up to the top tier. I really need those maximum kills for the crack grenades. And with that, Iron Will, just because reduced toughness damage, you're above 75% toughness. That prevents, you know, a one-shot capability a lot. Field improvisation, just because it's fun. Not to saying there aren't some really good talents on both sides over here. I would probably love to get Trench Fighter, but I just don't have the points. And the Devil Claw is already fast enough, right? Catch a breath, you're required to take that. Close and kill. Now, I see a lot of people take Survivalist, which is a very good thing to have, right? You love having ammo. But I will say movement is one of the top things in this game, and it's very important to have movement. You get some extra movement in your character, and you're going to really feel that kind of dance and flow really well. So I do close and kill, and because a lot of other veterans will take Survivalist, and I'll get it either way, right? Or the bots will have it, right? So close and kill, love that one. We're going to take Damnation Stockpile, so replenish grenades at 60, crack grenades every 90 seconds. Yeah, every 60 seconds cracks, or 90. Yep, that's fine. Voice of Command, and then with that, we're going to take Duty and Honor, so that also provides plus 50% toughness for 10 seconds. This can exceed your maximum toughness. It's just a really good, like, buffer for a lot of different damage types. And I usually just pop that up whenever I think there's about to be a fight that might be a little bit painful, if I start to hear like a boss music, or I might just throw it on because, you know, it's just fun. I like shouting, right? Now let's go over to the right and the left, and then we'll go in the middle. So right over here, we go all the way to the right. We have Desperado here. 10% melee critical hit chance and 25% melee finesse bonus. It just means your crits hit harder and you crit more often. Duck and Dive, very good talent. Oh, I love this talent. 30% stamina on avoiding range attacks by dodging, sprinting, or sliding. Great. Let's go all the way over here to the left. Now, there is one talent here that I don't necessarily know if I need that much, but I do enjoy having it, especially with the slower fire rate of the 14 for the Recon Laz. But let's start with Precision Strike, so weak spot damage. Oh darn, this headshotter is now better a headshotter. And this is the one I'm talking about here, is Deadshot. I don't think is usually taken with many Recon Lazes, but like I said, this thing has a slower fire rate, so it doesn't burn through your stamina as fast. And when you're moving around, like firing at people, you can kind of juke out of the way of their shots, right? You can line up a decent amount of stamina, but I do drain stamina very quickly, but that's also why I regen it quite well, too. Fully loaded, so we have 25% more ammo. Then we have stamina regeneration boost. That's awesome. Hey, look, we love stamina. And then Shock Trooper, critical hits with las weapons consume no ammo. Hey, guess what? That's awesome. That is exactly what you want. You have to have this with a Recon Laz. You just have to. I can't say any other way that, like, I've seen people take Recon Lazes and not have Shock Trooper and not have an ammo, like, fire discipline. And I would say I've seen Psychers have better ammo discipline than some guard shooting. But Shock Trooper, if you can get it, is very good, especially running a Recon Laz or any kind of Laz for that matter. Okay, so let's start off with the ranged weapon here. This is going to be very you can see that draining right there, so let's watch this drain. See how quickly that drains out? It's a lot of crits, though. Yeah, that's fairly explicit. It's just aim towards heads and shoot. Very easy. Obviously, you're generating your own ammo. Confirmed kill over there. We got another death over there. Yeah, and the flashlight. I almost never turn the flashlight on. Ever. I honestly think even on dark maps, I don't use it ever because it's just not needed. Eventually, if you play enough of the lights out missions, you're gonna develop a blind sense. You're just gonna. So it's just gonna be easier to do that kind of stuff. If you don't have the light on. But either way, I'm not visually impaired anyway, so that doesn't bother me in any way. But like I said, just spam towards heads and let loose. let's go over the blade, which this is one of the new skins. I really like this skin, especially those little runes on the top. Those are really cool. And they look like so they're their access codes for the new mini game. That's kind of cool. Okay, so let's go over the Devil Claw sword. So obviously side swipe, that's the heavy attack there. Side swipe, down swipe. Very good. The one I really like off of this one, and the reason I take a lot of stamina, is that stab. See that block push stab? It's the same reason why I take this in lower half Carl with the toxic medic skills, is because the amount of stamina you can just push that blade into people's faces. Very easy to hit. One of our most hated targets, these guys. See these guys, those ragers? They're real fast and they mess you up real good. Unarmored and maniac damage will instantly kill these guys. Very easy. And it also has, like I said, a really nice swing pattern, right? Very good at taking out. See, we don't even need the flat damage there. We are literally going straight through people's heads just by being us, right? And then you have the 4 capacity, which I can't show right now, but that's the guard. So that would be essentially right now, if you heard like them swiping, you'd hit this, and you come back with a riposte or a parry. It is very useful to have. It's one of the things, like, what I'll do is I'll go like this. So I'll block. You have like an infinite guard here. See that? So like, if somebody decides to hit you, you block them, and then you can parry that. Kind of flows into each other, right? So yeah, it's an interesting thing. It's a very useful thing, especially for taking out these ragers that are so annoying, and I've seen so many people get down by them. And they can be. If they catch you flat-footed, they'll mess you up pretty good. So then we have the voice of command, which, like I said, very obvious. But the one thing that isn't obvious is that a lot of people do seem to know about, right? It will stagger anything. Bosses, anything. So you can usually, what I'll do is I'll have a chaos spawn jump in front of me, right? I'll shout, blast them back a little bit, and then load them up with grenades. It's very helpful to have that kind of shout. I've helped teammates out by shouting at them when they're on the ground, just to give me a little boost when I'm getting them up. I've shouted entire waves of mobs, dogs, everything. That extra CC with that shout is amazing. I love that talent. And it's one of the reasons why I usually take it on most of my characters, especially Rex, because he's kind of like the commander, you know. But then, obviously, crack grenades are pretty obvious, too. I usually try to throw them on the ground. That way they're going to hook underneath the actual guy, especially if you can get in the back end of them. Let's see if we can get this just right. Yep, on a foot. So usually what happens is you end up... Let's see if we can get this on his foot. If you can bounce it off the ground, right, you can usually get a one-shot in some way. So I usually kind of throw it straight at the ground and let it bounce into other things. Because they'll usually go for the strongest thing of metal, which is usually some sort of... Yeah. You want underneath, because that's where they're least likely to be armored. Obviously, I'm going to see whose has more metal in their helmet. I'm going to guess we're going to be on the left on this one. So we're going to throw it right between the middle of them. A little bit higher. Yep. Yep. So it's going to stick to the strongest point of metal, which is very useful to have. But just be aware. Do they have Vanguard armies? Yeah. So watch this. This is one thing I think a lot of people know of too. These guys play kamikaze with bombs. See that? So another way of ruining crack grenades is having somebody with a shield there, and that's probably the reason why they add them in the game. A lot of people don't like those Vanguard armies. I don't think they're a problem. I kind of enjoy them, to be honest. But obviously, throw it towards the ground, let it pink a bit, get on their butts, their backs, their underneath, like where their special spots are at, if you know what I mean. And let loose with the crack grenades. But this has been Rex-Sprocketsburg. I don't have too much more to kind of show you guys. I'll be playing this tonight as well during our Tuesday Darktide. So you guys can kind of get a gauge of what you're looking at. Like I said, I've had a couple people in-game comment on it. If you want to go take a look, that's great. I'll have this probably posted today. So you guys stay safe out there. It was great talking to you, and I can't wait to see you tonight. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.